$200 last summer, $1,100 now, same stick of memory. That stick is DRAM. It's the plain memory that sits in your console, in your gaming PC, in your phone. It holds whatever the machine is thinking about right now. Boring part. This year it turned into the most expensive thing in the box, and nobody who buys one was asked first. On the 1st of August, Microsoft raised the Xbox Series X to $799. That machine launched at $499. Companies almost never explain a price rise. Microsoft explained this one in writing on its own site. Here is the sentence. Console storage and memory prices have increased by more than 2.5 times, and we expect another doubling by the fall of 2027. That is Microsoft, in June, telling you the reason. The reason sits upstream of the console. Somebody else is bidding for the same chips. So who is bidding? An AI chip wants its memory stacked right beside it, layer on layer, so the data barely has to travel. The industry calls that HBM, high bandwidth memory. Same silicon, taller package, much harder to build. And here is the part that decides everything. A memory factory is one set of lines. Every wafer that becomes the stacked AI kind is a wafer that never becomes the plain kind in your console. The factory does one or the other, so it chooses. So the memory in your console and the memory in an AI data center come off the same production line. Right now, the data center wins the bid. That is the whole case. Everything after this is receipts. Watch that choice from inside. Micron is one of the 3 companies on Earth that make this stuff. In February, it stopped shipping Crucial, the brand it sold to people who build their own PCs. Micron's stated reason was to improve supply and support for its larger, strategic customers in faster-growing segments. A memory company stopped selling memory to the public. Its whole year of the stacked AI kind was already spoken for before the year had started. And Micron lifted what it spends building factories to about $20 billion aimed at the stacked kind. The whole industry printed the result. TrendForce, which tracks memory prices for a living, put the industry's first quarter revenue at $97 billion, up 81% in a single quarter. Nothing in this business moves like that. It moved because the price did. So that is the supply side. Now the part that reaches you. And there is a number coming in about a minute that made a large American retailer start giving away coffee. Back to that stick. A 64-gigabyte kit of the current standard cost under $200 in the summer of 2025. In August, it was over $1,100. That is Tom's Hardware reading PC part pickers' own tracked prices. Then it got silly. Newegg listed a 128-gigabyte kit at $1,460 and threw in a $50 coffee gift card. The listing's own line was, "Drink coffee while you game." Memory is now priced like a high-end graphics card. The small builders just stopped. Framework makes laptops you are meant to repair and upgrade yourself. It pulled its memory sticks off sale to keep scalpers out. The company whose entire promise is upgrade, it later cannot sell you the upgrade. The big builders raised prices instead. Dell put its PC prices up 15 to 20% in December, and Lenovo followed in January. IDC, the firm that counts computer shipments for the industry, now expects the world to buy about 11% fewer PCs this year. The money spent still goes up. The machines go down. IDC's Jean-Philippe Bouchard put a date on it. We're not seeing any relief to the memory shortage situation before the end of 2027, he said, which means prices will continue to rise. He said that in June. And you can watch the buyers give up. Valve publishes what is inside every gaming PC on Steam. This year, the most common amount of memory in one went backwards to 16 gigabytes. That is the number people were told was the bare minimum years ago. That is a market sitting completely still. The memory in your console and the memory in an AI data center come off the same production line. Right now, the data center wins the bid. So look at the second machine. The Xbox price went up 3 times in 13 months. Nintendo did the same and said the quiet part into a microphone. The Switch 2 goes to $499 on the 1st of September. Nintendo told CNBC in May that the memory crunch is why, and that it expects to sell fewer consoles because of it. One of them blinked. Microsoft put Game Pass Ultimate up to $29.99 last October. It lost what it admitted were millions of subscribers. In April, it cut the price back to $22.99. That is a company finding the ceiling by walking into it. Which brings us to Sony, who have said the least and are the most exposed. On the 8th of May, Sony's Hiroki Totoki spoke to investors. The company has secured its memory for this financial year, he said, but prices are expected to continue to be high next year. Sony has still not said what the next PlayStation costs or when it ships. Now, you have probably read that the PlayStation 6 is delayed to 2028. Here is what that rests on. One Bloomberg story in February saying Sony is considering it, sourced to people the reporter would not name. Sony declined to comment. Every other outlet you saw was repeating Bloomberg. And there is a wrinkle. The loudest voice pushing back on that delay story is a hardware leaker who posts as Kepler L2. That same leaker is the only source for the other number you have seen. He says the parts bill for the PlayStation 6 is now around $960. 3 months earlier, the same leaker said $760. One anonymous forum poster is both halves of the argument. So here is what is actually true. Sony has announced no delay. Sony has announced no price. Sony's own finance chief says memory stays expensive into next year, and a console sells for less than it costs to build, which Microsoft said out loud in that same post. So Sony cannot price the PlayStation 6 yet. That is a different sentence from canceled, and it is the one the documents support. So 3 charges down. The 4th is the one everybody assumes is already proven. It is also the one where the evidence turns around and bites. Fewer players on expensive machines means fewer big games and more remasters. That is the claim, and it is everywhere. So let's test it properly. We know what a big game costs because Sony's lawyers leaked it by accident. At an antitrust trial in 2023, Sony filed a document with black bars drawn on top of text that was still sitting underneath. The Last of Us Part 2 cost $220 million to make. Horizon Forbidden West cost $212. And the industry has been shedding people for years. Amir Satvat runs the tracker the industry actually uses, and he has this year running at over 14,000 jobs. But look at the dates. 2023 was 10,500. 2024 was worse than that. Both of those years came before a single memory price moved. Then the remaster claim. I went looking for the number and it does not exist. Nobody publishes a count of remasters as a share of releases. Not Sarkana, not the industry's own developer survey, nobody. So I will not hand you a percentage I made up. What I can tell you is that remakes now fill the showcases. That is a feeling, and I am telling you it is a feeling. If you want to know which machine gets priced out of your living room next, subscribe. That is the only thing I will ask you for. Then there is the counterexample, and it is enormous. Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, was built by about 30 people at a French studio called Sandfall. It cost under $10 million to make. It has sold 8 million copies. In December, it won Game of the Year and took 9 of the 13 awards it was up for. I should be straight with you here. Its publisher paid the voice cast separately, and Microsoft paid to put it on Game Pass on day one. It still cost a fraction of what a Sony game costs. So the chain holds all the way to the shop floor. Whether it reaches the games is a different question, and the dates answer it. Time to rule.
Here's my ruling. Charge 1, that the AI build-out took the memory. Proven. 3 companies chose the stacked kind, one of them wrote the reason down, and one of them walked away from consumers entirely. Charge 2, that it moved the price onto you. Proven, and it's sitting on your receipt. Charge 3, that it froze the next console. Reduced. Nobody at Sony has announced a delay. Sony cannot price the machine yet, which is a real injury and a smaller one. Charge 4, that this means fewer good games. Not proven. The layoffs started 2 years before the shortage, the giant budgets broke under their own weight, and the best reviewed game of last year was made by 30 people for under $10 million. So the memory in your console and the memory in an AI data center come off the same production line, and right now, the data center wins the bid. What that really threatens is the $300 million bet. I'm not sure the rest of us should mourn that one. One thing you can do this week. Before you buy any machine this year, look up what the same model cost 12 months ago and decide whether you're paying for the machine or for the shortage. Next time on Business on Trial, when an AI data center and a games console want the same memory chip, who actually ends up paying for it?